Despite what you may hear, tech jobs are still booming. What up, everybody? This is your boy Tech G back in the place to be. And we're going to talk about these tech jobs that are still out there booming in these streets, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, tech jobs are doing so well these days in terms of hiring people that I have plenty of family members who are now starting to reach out and contact me so that they can learn tech, so they go out there and get them one of these tech jobs. I mean, for the past 2 years, I've been doing this whole YouTube thing and my website. They've been essentially ignoring me. You know, it's all good. I ain't tripping. But now all of a sudden, some of them are coming around like, man, I might need to get into IT. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, I've been telling you. So come on over and get signed up so we can get you educated out in these streets and get you a tech job, because the tech industry is booming, y'all. So anyways, let's check out this article to figure out exactly why tech jobs are booming. All right, it says tech jobs are still booming, but be careful about joining the Great Resignation. This is written by this lady named Aki Ito. She says, layoffs at Netflix and Tesla. You got hiring freezes at Meta and Twitter, rescinded job offers at Coinbase. It says, if you're a tech worker, you aren't the only one freaking out about your job prospects right now. Is this the end of the boom for coders? Are we headed for a repeat of the dot-com bust? It says, to get a read on where things stand in tech and how worried everyone should be, she says, I took a look at the data and spoke with a bunch of tech recruiters. To my surprise, I came away bearing good news. The job market in tech is still going strong. Super facts, super duper facts. Says some of the recruiters I talked to don't even see the smallest hint of a slowdown. Others say the industry's recent hiring frenzy has started to cool off, but only a little. And even though slightly more pessimistic experts agree tech workers have no reason to panic. It says it's still a really, really healthy job market. Chris Bake, the CEO of the tech recruiting platform Lasky, told me. He says it's still very competitive. It's still very aggressive in terms of what companies are willing to do for the right candidates. Since to understand where the job market in the tech industry stands today, let's just start with how fierce the war for talent has become over the past year. So if you got your skills up and or your certs up, people out there hunting for you. It says for all the talk of the labor shortage in restaurants and hotels during the Great Resignation, it's really tech workers who have been in the scarcest supply. Last quarter, the unemployment rate for all workers stood at 3.9%. For software developers, unemployment was only 0.6%. For database administrators and architects, 0.5%. And for network and computer system administrators, a basically non-existent 0.1%. And for those of you who are subscribed to the Tech G channel and you're going through learning those courses, IT Fundamentals A+, and Network Plus, you guys should understand that those courses directly funnel you into a network and or computer systems administrator job and cybersecurity as well. And as this thing stated, pretty much all of the people who work in those roles got a job. So here's a little graphic that says the top jobs remain secure. Unemployment rates for tech workers are far below the national average. So the national unemployment average is 3.9%. We got various IT jobs. Now let's talk about the ones that are most closely aligned to what I teach on this channel. So we got information security analysts, 1.0% national unemployment. And we got system administrators, 0.1%. That's what the numbers are looking like for the IT industry for the most part. And it really doesn't matter which job you take in IT. But like I said, being that I teach IT Fundamentals, A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus, those four certs most closely align with information security analysts and system administrators based off of this list right here. And maybe even a system analyst. I'll probably throw that one in there as well. Article goes on to say, and no wonder, as the coronavirus pandemic fueled a rapid shift to e-commerce and remote work, everybody needed tech professionals with the skills to make that shift possible. Since February 2020, the number of job postings for software developers on Indeed has soared by 120%. Among the 51 occupational categories that Indeed tracks, only real estate jobs have seen a bigger increase, and by only a tiny amount. That surge in demand has given tech workers the leverage to command outsized salaries, signing bonuses, remote work privileges, and all kinds of perks and benefits that would have been unthinkable unthinkable before the pandemic. It says in 23 years, I've never experienced a market like the one we've been in the last 6 to 9 months, said Megan Slabinski, who oversees tech recruiting in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California for Robert Half. She says candidates are absolutely in the driver's seat. And that is true. You can go into these jobs these days and within reason, kind of command that you get access to a lot of perks and benefits in exchange for your employment at that company, along with getting a nice size salary as well. Like that's just what's cracking out there in these streets these days. Of all the recruiters I spoke with, Slabinski is the most optimistic about the state of tech jobs. She's heard all the news about layoffs and hiring freezes over the past few weeks, but she's seen no signs of it in her recruiting work at Robert Half. She says, we have not seen any fluctuation in demand for IT hiring. There's so many open positions and so few talented candidates. I've been telling you guys this for ages on this channel. There are way more job openings out there than there are qualified people to fill them. So all you have to do is go get qualified, skilled up, certed up, and it's almost a shoo-in that you will get hired, assuming you don't have anything crazy in your background to prevent you from getting hired. It says Indeed's data backs up her view. Openings for software developers leveled off at the beginning of the year, but they're not declining. Even as announcements of hiring freezes have come to dominate the headlines over the past few weeks, there's still plenty of demand for software development workers, stated Anne Elizabeth Conkle, an economist at Indeed. She says, looking at the data, it doesn't look like there's a fire in the tech space. So if you're a software developer out there, this is what's cracking in your particular lane of IT. You got almost a 140% increase in demand for software developers. Still booming, y'all. Since companies are continuing to hire, so of course, software developers aren't the only people who work at tech companies. Everyone from venture-backed startups to publicly traded tech giants also need product managers, marketers, accountants, sales representatives, and human resource professionals. And that's where many of the layoffs seem to be happening. Goldman Sachs, which looked at data from the website layoffs.fyi, recently concluded that the current round of tech layoffs was largely concentrated in support roles, not engineering. Says to be sure, more than 25,000 people have lost their jobs in the tech industry this quarter, the most since the early months of the pandemic. And the pool of Silicon Valley mainstays announcing hiring slowdown seems to grow by the day. But the hiring freezes aren't as widespread as the news might lead you to believe. The recruiting platform Lasky matches job seekers to a broad array of roles in tech. If Indeed's data on software developers tracks the job market for the occupation most associated with tech, Lasky's data is a good proxy for jobs for the entire industry. It says about a third of the employers on Lasky have recently paused hiring, either in specific roles or across the board, resulting in a 20% decline in job openings since April. Coupled with the increase in laid off workers, that's led to a 25% jump in the number of candidates applying for each job on the platform. It says the candidates' experience is getting noticeably harder, said Bake, the CEO of Lasky. Hiring, he adds, is less crazy, less chaotic than before. Article says those sound like big numbers, but even with the slowdown, Bake said there's no reason for tech workers to be nervous. If a third of employers have paused or slowed hiring, another 2/3 are still looking to fill roles at a frenzied clip. The market has been so good, in fact, that even if things are slightly slower than they were a few months ago, it's still favorable to job seekers. So think of it as going from unbelievably once in a generation amazing to just plain old great. So this guy's saying no matter what you hear in the news with these job freezes, especially when it's coming from these tech companies, always remember that there are plenty of other companies that are still hiring. It's just that the news, they're going to focus on the onesies and twosies and blow it up to what I like to call the maximizing of the minimum. So they'll focus on 30%, saying, oh, 30% of tech workers are losing their jobs, but they'll totally disregard telling you about the 70% that still have their jobs and are still able to go out there and find new jobs if they want. Article says, if you look at the total number of job openings relative to the number of qualified individuals for those positions, there's still a massive imbalance. I just said this. Blake said, you're not applying into a 2001 or a 2009 environment where there are just no jobs available. There's still a ton of great jobs with a lot of great companies, and companies are continuing to hire through this. This is another tech recruiter told me candidates were still getting job offers, just fewer than they were before. Says in the first half of this year, we'd see people with 5 job offers. Says Greg, the founder of Right Choice Resources, which places sales representatives into tech companies. He says now things are coming back to reality where maybe they only have 1 or 2 job offers. What's more, he said, salaries are still good. Companies are still paying high salaries, but it is less of a bidding war. They don't have to outbid 5 companies now. They might only have to outbid 1 or 2. Article says, as some tech companies hit pause, others are seizing the moment to go on a major hiring spree. On Lansky, a handful of smaller employers have actually accelerated their hiring plans. I just told y'all this, right? This is the window of opportunity that a lot of companies have been waiting for. They can get the top engineers or marketers or salespeople who would otherwise go to the FANG companies or the really hot decacorns. I don't know what a decacorn is. Article says some employers outside of the tech sector, those without the cash or cash of a Facebook, Uber, or Coinbase, are also looking to take advantage of the slowdown to hire engineers they desperately need. Just last week, Citigroup announced it was hiring 4,000 tech workers to modernize its technology. They say we're trying to digitalize as much of our client experience as possible. It says we've always seen the tech market to be competitive, but particularly at the moment, coming out of the pandemic, we've seen a digital explosion across industries. So what does all this mean if you're a tech worker trying to decide whether to join the Great Resignation? To be on the safe side, Bake suggests you hold on to your current job until you have another one lined up. He also advises candidates to start a new job right away rather than taking time off between jobs to avoid the risk of the offer being rescinded. All right, so hopefully you got some useful information out of this article, but the main point that I want to highlight is tech is still booming. These tech jobs are not going away because of the various reasons that were outlined in this article, everything from remote work to people trying to revamp websites and business practices to make them more client friendly or whatever the case may be, but also because there's still a whole bunch of hacking going on out there. So we need cybersecurity people out there doing what they do, baby, holding it down on the quote unquote digital wall, because all these companies are going to need somebody to protect all that data. And guess what? That person can be you. So if you're out there and you don't work in tech and you're a little worried about your prospects as to whether or not your company may or may not lay you off in the coming months, weeks, or whatever the case may be, or you're thinking about joining the Great Resignation because you're tired of working like pretty much all of us are, well, I encourage you to seriously consider this tech thing. Just give it a shot. It's not as hard as you think it is. In most instances, you don't need a college degree to do it. And as I showed you on this chart down here, pretty much everybody who works in tech, they pretty much aren't getting fired or laid off for the most part. Everybody's chilling up in there collecting paychecks. So if you too want to work in tech so you can chill and collect a paycheck, and I say chill loosely, but if you too want to chill and collect a paycheck, you want to get started in tech, just go hit the playlist button on this channel, baby. I teach you all the entry-level stuff that you need to know to get started. Teach you IT fundamentals, and that course is designed for people who know absolutely nothing about tech whatsoever. I teach you A+, I teach you Network Plus, and I teach you Security Plus. Those 4 certifications will launch your IT career so you could be out there getting a job, chilling, and collecting paychecks in the industry that's booming. All right. So anyways, with that being said, I'm about to chuck deuces. So hit the like button, share button, drop a comment, but most importantly, subscribe to this channel. And with that, I will holler at you in the next video. Peace.